Hi, my name is Persephone Lawrence, and I'm the Assistant Prop Supervisor at Chicago Shakespeare Theater. Today, I'm going to demonstrate one of my favorite parts of my job, refinishing furniture. Have you ever wanted to just slightly change the look of your furniture? Well, so do designers. All the time. No, really, all the time. It's surprising how many different lives a single piece of furniture can live. Take a look at these before and after pictures from previous Chicago Shakes productions. Refinishing furniture, like in these examples, can help unify scenic design and can be crucial in telling a story on stage, which is why we do it so often in props. Today, I'm going to give you a peek at how we refinish furniture at Chicago Shakes by exhibiting the process with my own personal ottoman at home, and maybe with a little help from my cat, Kita. Before I begin, let's take a look at the materials I'll be using. First, this is a T50 stapler. Now, typically when I'm doing upholstery in a prop shop, I would use a pneumatic upholstery stapler like this one. Pneumatic means that it's powered by air pressure. But since I don't have an air tank at my house, I'm going to make do with the T50 stapler for now. For the fabric, I'll be using this as my new upholstery fabric, as well as some new cambric and maybe some additional batting. I'll also be using fabric scissors. Some miscellaneous tools for staple removing include needle nose pliers, nippers, staple remover, cat's paw, snap blade cutter, a tack hammer, and the world's miniest wonder bar. For paint removing, I'll be using citrus strip as well as some various grit sandpaper and a sandpaper block. For paint, I'll be using cherry gel wood stain and a shellac sealer, as well as the painting supplies including chip brushes, rags, and maybe a sponge and some gloves. Now, we're ready to get started. I start by removing the seat cushion from the base. Most modern furniture with seats are secured by bolts or screws. We will eventually put this back together, so I'm going to make sure I hang on to this hardware. Once the seat is removed, I'm going to put the base off to the side. Now we're going to get started reupholstering this cushion. This black fabric on the bottom is called cambric. As I'm removing this from the seat cushion, it's okay that I'm ripping it because I'll replace it with new cambric later. Now I'm using various tools to remove the staples. This is one of the trickier steps and needs to be handled with care. Just like the hardware, I'm going to make sure to hold on to the original fabric as it'll come back into use later. I'm investigating the seat cushion and determining if any of the areas around the staples need some TLC. I'm also assessing the quality of the stuffing to determine if I'm going to add an additional layer of batting. I've decided to go ahead and add another layer. Batting is an insulation fabric with a foam-like consistency that often provides an additional layer of padding for comfort. It's used in upholstery to soften the edges of furniture, as can be seen displayed on this ottoman seats cushion. Now it's time to cut the new upholstery fabric. You can see I'm laying out the new fabric, which I've already ironed and cleaned. I lay the original fabric on top of it and use it as a sort of pattern. This is an especially helpful technique for upholstered furniture with multiple pieces, like an armchair. With the new fabric cut out, I'll bring back the seat cushion and begin upholstering the new fabric. I start by putting a single staple on each edge, making sure that I'm pulling evenly so the fabric is taut, but not bunching awkwardly. I'm also keeping in mind how the pattern is displayed as I begin stapling. Once I'm satisfied with how it's laid out, I'll continue to add staples on each side, checking the tension as I go, occasionally referencing the quote horizon of the cushion. I'm stapling about an inch and a half from the edge. This is so I have plenty of space to pull on the fabric. Notice, I'm frequently using the hammer on any not fully embedded staples. This isn't usually a problem with a pneumatic upholstery stapler, but since the T50 doesn't have as much power of force, some staples need a little help. Once I get to the corners, I will pull and fold in order to minimize visible creasing. This is the trickiest part of upholstery, but is one of the most aesthetically important. Last upholstery step is to add a new layer of black cambric to the bottom. Cambric is used as a kind of dust protector. It also aesthetically unifies that part of the furniture that isn't meant to be seen. And now it's good as new. The seat is reupholstered and Kita approved. Time to move on to the base. One unexpected way I'm prepping the base for refinishing is by removing the facade detailing along the edges of the frame. After discussing it with my partner, we decided we liked the look of the ottoman better without them. Also, this is a great example of how we in props use tools in unexpected ways. In order to prep the wood for stain, I first need to remove all the paint from the base. To do this, I'll use a product called citrus strip and some low-grade sandpaper to start. Quick safety note, I'm going to be going outside for this portion. This is to make sure I'm in a properly ventilated area, as well as to avoid covering my entire apartment in sawdust. I'll also be wearing safety glasses and a cloth mask. Always make sure to wear proper PPE. Now I'm back in my apartment, and I will use smaller pieces of sandpaper to get into the crevices and details. This is one of the most time-consuming parts of this process. With all the paint removed and smoothed, the base is ready for stain. For ease of drying, I'm going to reassemble the base before I start staining. This is why we hang on to hardware. I'm using chip brushes to paint on the stain and rags to wipe away the excess. I use this process to cover the entire base. Another safety note: when using stain, always use gloves. It will stain your skin and create a huge mess. Please only use stain in a well-ventilated area such as outdoors. Unfortunately, due to inclement weather, this is not an option for me today. So instead, I've opened all my apartment's windows in addition to having multiple fans going. After the base is completely covered, I'll leave the stain to dry overnight. So something that I realized throughout this process, and something that happens a lot, is that sometimes you'll get partway through something and realize that the system that you're using won't work. What we're going to try, and I've done a little bit of a test here, is to kind of leave this gel stain overnight in kind of a dry brush motion in order to get a little bit darker and a little bit more of that wood grain. What this will hopefully accomplish is uniting the entire piece into one color, as well as kind of making up for some of these kind of blonder spots. Rolling with the punches is a key skill for any props maker. Once my attempt to add more dimension with the stain had mostly dried, I decided it needed a little more work. I started by mixing a wash and a glaze. The basic difference is that a wash is paint mixed with water, and a glaze is paint mixed with a sealant. The sealant I mixed with this glaze is a water-based polyacrylic satin sealer. I'm going back and forth using the two mixes to give it a natural variance to the wood while unifying the coloration and tone. I will now add a layer of shellac sealant to give it the nice shine of polished wood. Once it's dry, my ottoman is new and improved. Now it finally matches the rest of my furniture, plus I think Kita really likes it too. Thanks for hanging out while I refinish my ottoman. Now, if you're curious about how else we might do things at Chicago Shakespeare Theater, check out more Backstage at Home videos on our website. Or you can follow us prop folks on Instagram at CST_props. Until next time.